G'day, beautiful people. Welcome once again to your Monday evening. I'm Dan from Australia in Canada right now, and joining me today is someone I've actually spoken about like over the last 3 weeks or the last 2 weeks on the show. So awesome that we can finally actually get together and have a chat. Now I'm talking to Ben. Ben, say hello. Introduce yourself to everybody.
G'day, how's it going?
Oh God. Oh God.
That's not actually my voice. It's not actually my voice, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but look, you know, it's. I have met Australians with that voice, and so the reason that we're talking, apart from you just being a fucking dead set legend, is that you recently came fourth or fifth, I believe.
Fifth?
Yes.
Fifth.
At Sydney Slaughter, one of Australia's big events, with Deepkin. Now, I know that Deepkin doing well at a tournament isn't necessarily breaking the mold. However, it was that your army featured 560 points of fucking tooth sharks, which
Yeah.
I don't think I have seen a single damn shark in a list ever. And how many eels did you have in your list?
Just six.
Just six. Just six fucking
Yeah,
eels.
and they weren't even the Morsa, they were the bushland.
Yeah, they're the other type of eel. So I guess that that's why I'd like to have a chat, because they're obviously, with the new General's Handbook coming out, there's been a lot of conversation about the changes in points for eels and everything like that. So I'd really like to have a chat to you about it, because I think talking about points changes, especially do something like that, is going to be a really, really fun conversation. Also because you're a fucking legend. But yeah, we were just before we went live, we were actually chatting about contrast paints and pulling them together and stuff like that. And you've been painting a little bit with them because you're doing up some new allies, correct?
I am, yeah. I've got a 2.5K event
That's
in Sydney.
Sydney
around
GT this year,
October.
right?
Sydney GT, yeah.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
I've been having them. They've been sitting under my desk for like a year and a half. And
Yep.
I thought, well, contrasts come out. I really want to play with them, but I'm not going to use them on my Deepkin. And I thought, what's the best way of using it? Oh my God, the scale capes on my Corsairs.
Yeah, and
So I'm
you
punishing myself by painting 40 Corsairs.
Fine. Well, you just sent me a photo of that cape. And I mean, I don't know if you want to chuck it up, or if you have chucked it up on your Twitter, you can see scrolling along the bottom there. If you want to find Ben's Twitter handle, the thing that we were talking about is that the contrast paints don't necessarily make the cape look like that. It's that the contrast paints let you get that base and that contrast down like that, so you can spend more time focusing on the detail, correct?
Yeah. So it just sort of makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, right.
Because you don't have to do so many steps, and it's just really fun to play with. Like it's a really weird paint, but I kind of dig it. Like,
Yeah. No, me too. I mean,
kind of sexy to use.
yeah, it kind of, look, I won't lie. I've had a couple of times where it didn't work and I was like, shit. But when it works, oh, it's just like butter. Dad Hammer, having subscribed for 8 months now. We're 1 month off having our first hobby baby, Dad Hammer. And I know that you are a dad, and I know that you have a hammer. But, you know, I'm so glad that we're so close at the end of this first hobby baby journey together. I have probably been drinking a lot during this pregnancy, though, so I'm very concerned for our child. Speaking of drinking,
You don't need to be concerned. What are you talking about?
yeah, right, that's true.
You've done your bit.
Yeah, that's true. Raising the child. I'm pregnant.
In like 5 seconds.
I'm pregnant with our hobby baby. Dad Hammer and I are obviously having a hobby baby. Which is how we do it. Vanilla Sass, g'day, mate. Good to see you. After that fucking pounding your Fire Slayers gave me earlier this week. It was beautiful. 5 Magma Droths just ripped me a new one. In fact, we're going to be he's going to be coming on the show next week to talk about Iron Jaws, because he's gone 4-1 with Iron Jaws before, and about Fire Slayers and all that. But for right now, we're talking Deepkin. Arcanus Deficus, lovely to meet you again for today. Wonderful to see everybody joining in and dropping in. The new Corsair list, you've got 140 in your list. How many do you have, Ben?
Just 40.
Just 40. Just a cheeky 40.
I mean, that's insane and very cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, sometimes you need a lot more. Hypno Kraken dropping in the chat. I should say, sorry, yes, I am drinking. today. Sorry, Ben. I know it's midday for you, so I don't know if you're drinking there. I got to go to a thing called a beer fest the other day, where all of the local breweries were basically doing samples of their beer, and one of those lovely breweries gave me this, which is it's a sour like Vice beer from Parallel 49, but it's a gin mojito sour because it's brewed in gin barrels and flavored with mint and lime and shit.
Ooh. That sounds amazing.
So yeah, and it's in like a bottle with a fucking cork. Like, this is some sexiness here. Now, I should say, The Honest Wargamer has no sponsors, but if you want to give me alcohol, I will drink alcohol and tell people what it tastes like. So, the local brewery, Parallel 49, guys, they've given me a bit of beer here, and we're going to drink it if I can get this fucking cork out, which is, it feels classy. It feels classy. Please don't explode and fire shit everywhere like a champagne bottle. That would be terrifying. There we go. There we go. There's go. It's got it. Oh, it's a boy. It's a boy. It's a boy. It's foamed a little bit, but that's okay. That's all right. Oh, it's everywhere. It is everywhere, but that's good. That's good. A good beer should be everywhere. It should be down your leg, in your pants, possibly in your shoes, but it didn't hit the microphone, and that's all that matters. Let's get that away from the gigantic slick of beer. Now, I don't want anyone to think that I'm blaming the beer for what just happened. That was obviously all me. Beer is never at fault, and it's never done a bad thing. In fact, there's some on the table here that I'm just not going to waste. Amazing. Are you drinking anything?
You're an absolute heathen.
Yeah, I know.
No,
right?
I'm having a coffee.
Oh, right. Well, that's a much classier way to do it.
Yeah, made by my own barista.
Yes, personal barista.
Barista.
Yeah.
Yeah, my own personal barista.
Always good to have a personal barista. Does your personal barista have a name?
Tim.
Yep, good. And like, how would we rate Tim's work as a barista?
Well, I have to put a 6 out of 5 on.
Oh,
like
that's pretty good.
Those Google reviews, because otherwise he'll leave me and he'll make coffee for someone else.
Fair, that's fair. It's the best way to do it.
I can't. Yeah. So, but no, it's actually better than most coffees I've had in Sydney. So yeah.
I mean, like, I won't lie. It's very difficult to find good coffee in Canada. It's not exactly the same as it is back in Australia. So I am kind of loving it at the moment because I've got an espresso machine that keeps me well in the caffeine. But the other thing, before we start talking about other stuff, is now, Ben, I don't know if you've caught the last couple of weeks' shows, but we do have a new segment that we have been doing every week, and that segment is called Send Nudes. Nice, unique drawings everyone scribbled.
I was introduced to that 2 weeks ago and was quite shocked
great.
How scandalous it was.
Look, the Honest Wargamer, we're pushing boundaries, we're finding new things, and so this is one of my favourite segments at the moment. So for those who are listening, whether it's podcast, Patreon, however you're listening to it, where it's Send Nudes. Or NUDES, nice unique drawings everyone scribbled. Now I have two from the same artist today. He has sent them in like over the last probably, I think one came in the first week, one came in last week, and I'm so sorry it's taken me so long. So Henry, I am very, very, very sorry. But Ben, are you ready to be our blind art judge for this time?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Now the first one I actually quite dig. So these are it's paint. They've been done in Microsoft Paint or whatever the I don't know if there is a
that is MS Paint is one of the finest mediums that you can paint in.
Definitely. And it's look, I'm going to say it's good, or whatever maybe it's the Mac equivalent because it looks real good. And we've got a dwarf. Look at that. Look at that. We got a little dwarf. He's bald, but he's got a bright orange beard. He's holding a hammer. His feet are a little bit odd sized, so one foot is slightly bigger than the other. His shirt is doing some weird shit. He's got an orange beard and a zigzaggy, so I'm guessing angry mouth.
It's a nicely cut beard.
It's well trimmed. Now the one thing I don't know if the camera is going to pick up, but on closer inspection, I believe that Henry has snuck a number of penises into the beard because they appear to be it looks like there's a number of penises hidden with some furry ball sacks hidden in the beard, concealed in the orange colours there. So
That's classy.
yeah, so look, I did say last week that people have to stop sending such obvious pictures of disturbing things, and so I guess that's a subtle way of sneaking some penises into the beard. I assume it's therefore a Chaos Dwarf. Now, just based off that description, Ben, what would you score this fantastic piece of art out of 10?
So I would give it a 5 out of 5, but because it has a blue background, and that means he's in the sky, dwarves don't belong in the sky.
Okay.
Nor do they swim.
Nor do they swim. That's very true. Yep, they don't fly, they don't swim.
So, well, they do now.
Well,
but,
I guess so.
No.
What are we saying?
I like the subtle penises sort of.
Yeah,
I think give it a +1.
Okay. Yep.
So 6 out of 5, but then you get a minus for not him being in his halls of stone.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's a even 5 out of.
It could be out of 27. Whatever. 5 out of 27. All right.
27 out of 27.
Oh, it's a 27 out of 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 27 out of 27 for the penis bearded dwarf. I'm assuming some kind of like hammer or a warrior or something like that. Lovely.
We could have our own scoring system. It's 5 discrete penises out of 5.
5 discrete penises out of 5. Okay, yep, there we go. And 5 discrete penises out of 5. Which is lovely. It's beautiful. And it's a wonderful thing to see as well. Now, thank you to everyone who is in the chat. Now, if you do have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to drop them in. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, thank you very much. But if you want to drop something into the chat and ask us any questions, Twitch is the place to do it, only because that's the one that we can monitor and keep an eye out. Alex pointing out a Fire Slayer, some are bald without their crest, so it could be a Fire Slayer, seems to be wearing a little bit too much armor for a Fire Slayer. Now this second one, it has a title. So this second one's title is Purple Sun Rodeo. I assume that's a title and that's not just being yelled. And now Purple Sun Rodeo features what appears to be an angry cartoon purple sun with some angry eyebrows and a grumpy mouth and a little bit of like flary purple sun magic. And then riding it on the top appears to be a grot in what I think was intended to be a cowboy hat, but looks kind of a little bit more like a farmer's, like a shepherd's hat. I don't know if the camera can see that for those of you at home. So that's the Purple Sun Rodeo there, an angry purple sun being ridden by a grot in a yellow cowboy hat, I'm assuming.
Looks like Nintendo's finally come to the mortal realm.
That's it. Yeah, but it's but it's not Nintendo 64. It's like Super Nintendo. So that's look. I like it. There's no dicks hidden in this one that I can see.
That's a minus.
That's a minus for you. Okay, right. So lacking in
discrete dicks.
Lacking in discrete peen.
I feel like you could have added some discrete dicks in the see an enemy protrusions.
Right. So the little bits that come out of.
Opportunity there.
So I guess for our last art piece today, the Purple Sun Rodeo, featuring very few discrete peens, or if they are there, they're so discrete I haven't been able to see them. What do we score this one?
Let's give this one a 3 discrete penises out of 5.
3 discrete peen out of 5.
Because there's very few discrete penises.
There's just about no discrete peens that I see in there. So we'll pop this one over here. It can be with its little dwarfy mate there. So thank you very much. Keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to do a couple a week. and get through some of these. Tomb King Tristan wants to know how my day was. Ben, how was your day, first of all?
Oh, it's only just started, really. What are you talking about? It's only halfway through.
That's true. It's only just midday for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's the classic. The Sydney winter is like 14 degrees or something. It's actually
Well, right
lovely.
now it's Canadian summer and it's 14 degrees today as well. So I am fucking, and everyone like I walk around or I walk to work and people are like, oh man, it's a bit warm today, and they're like sweating. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? My sweat glands sealed up the second I walked off the plane and they haven't opened yet.
Yeah.
So I'm a creature of the heat. I'm struggling in the cold, but that's okay.
Oh, I love the cold. What are you talking about?
No, see, I dig it. I want to be gross and sweaty.
Great.
I want to be that guy sitting like in a pool, just from the waist up, sweating his guts out as the pool slowly reaches like daytime temperature because the sun's so goddamn hot. But yeah,
actually, do you know what I am excited about today?
What are you
What I
excited
have
about
been
today?
doing is trying out the new War Scroll Builder.
Oh yeah, now that it's been updated.
It has, with all the new meeting engagements and stuff.
Yeah,
so I've been like
have you played
actively writing many lists.
Have you played meeting engagement? Yes. Have you given it a shot? Because as far as I guess the thing I've always felt is that small scale Age of Sigmar, most armies it didn't really work for. They kind of couldn't really make it work. Now, meeting engagements actually kind of interests me because I'm like, man, 1,000 points can suddenly be a very interesting game instead of just scaling back 2,000 point General's Handbook scenarios. So, how have you been thinking, like looking at it?
I have only read the scenarios in the book. I feel like it's going to be a completely different beast to like normal pitch battles. I'm actually really excited for it. Because I'm going to actually bring my turtle out for once.
Yeah, I mean, like, shit, you never see turtles, right?
No, and I think this is like, yep, let's just bring the turtle in.
I mean, the other thing, I guess, is
you
never see sharks, and you took 4 sharks to a tournament and came 5th. So...
Yeah. I feel like it's time for the turtle in meeting engagement.
Yeah, that's true. Which turtle is it? Is it Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, or Donatello?
I don't know. I think he's going to be more of a Michelangelo.
Yeah. Okay. Going to be a Mikey. A bit of a fun one. Yeah. That's it. I
think so.
That's good. Tim Tristan asking, did Chaos Dwarves become a real army when they entered the General's Handbook this year? No, they didn't. Chaos Dwarves are not a real army. They've never been a real army. Just because those shit-eating, eyeliner-wearing, beard-plaiting bastards get their names in a book and maybe some arbitrary points because people feel bad for them, that does not mean that they are a real army. And I will fight you like a bear made out of knives if you suggest that they are. They are still compendium regardless of what book they're in.
So you say that, you say that about them, but Git Mob got removed, so now Chaos Dwarves are the new Git Mob, right?
Well, like, hopefully they'll go the same way. Hopefully this is it's like Bretonia and Tomb Kings. I'm hoping this is their swan song, and that's going to be the last that we see out of them. But yes, I was devastated because my favorite thing to do, has been to fucking wind up Rob about the fact that his army is a compendium army. And now that they've put him in the book, they've literally taken away my favorite fucking joke. King Tristan, I'm so sorry for throwing shade at your beautiful Skelly people. I'd rather have Tomb Kings around any day of the week over Chaos Dwarves, because Tomb Kings have interesting lore other than just like edge lords in armor. Dad Hammer, Doom Patrol, Wanderers. Yeah, Wanderers I reckon would be rad in meeting engagement too. Elf Bro Hayden dropping in. G'day, mate. Except for those who play Dwarden. Well, we started well and then it turned out to be just a big old fucking bin chicken rooting around in some poo, didn't we? Cool Bunny. Subscribe for 3 months. We're a third of the way through our first hobby baby, Veronica, and that's wonderful news. It's a beautiful thing when a hobby baby is brought into the world. Bretonia also dead. Now, before we start talking about Deepkin, Your first Age of Sigmar army was the Overlords, correct?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and we will talk and we will go into Deepkin in just a moment. But before we do, I want to know, like, how did you feel seeing some of the changes?
I was so excited. I've always joked around that the gun hauler could be at any points cost, and I would never take it.
Yep.
But seeing the GHB now at 130, I'm like, yeah, I could actually take one now.
Yeah. Well, look at it, right? Like a gun hauler, you could just about, like, 2 gun haulers is 260, which is...
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, considering that, like, that's 2 ballistas, or effectively 2 celestial ballistas, or slightly less. But they fly, they're far more movable, they got more wounds and durability. Like, it's just fucking awesome.
Yeah. So what I like to do when a GHB comes out is go back to my old CanCon lists, because that's usually when I start playing an army for a year. That's what I do. I build an army and then I play it solidly for a year. I went back to my 2018 KO army, which was like a wacky Iron Sky Squadron, not particularly competitive army, and it gained 350 points extra on top of that. I'm like, I can fit a lot more stuff in.
Well, look, I think that there's also the one thing that I've always found disappointing with KO is that Age of Sigmar is a movement game. That's why the 2 most important phases, in my opinion, or the like maybe 3, are the movement phase, the charge phase, and piling in. Because shooting and damage and all of that, they are important, but ultimately capturing objectives, winning games is about being in the right place at the right time. So I always found it disappointing that they had their only real combat options were kind of Sky Wardens and Engine Riggers. And Engine Riggers needed a buff to be any good. Sky Wardens were mostly taken for shooting. Like, it never really kind of worked for me. And now that there's been a drop in points for some of those units, I'm like, yeah, great. We can see, like, potentially...
What are you talking about? Thunderers are your movement key. They're the fastest dwarves in, like, all of Sigmar.
But if there's something that's, like, anti-shooting...
I've captured so many objectives by retreating 10 Thunderers onto it.
By doing the cheeky skink retreat, except with dwarves.
Yeah. And they got even better come 2.0, because you can just spend a command point now and they can run. So they can run 10. They just retreat 10 and they're just like, okay.
They're out of here.
One of my favorite things is not... So I was playing a game against a Terrorgeist or whatever. I didn't have enough... My Thunderers weren't in range of the objective. They were like 12 away.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? So I charged these Thunderers into like a zombie dragon.
Yeah.
And then I retreated them out for 10. And they basically captured the objective.
Just like, shit, yeah. And yeah, the Thunderers...
So here we go. Oh, nope.
Yeah. Everybody forward. No, fuck that. This is Flesh Eater Courts. What the fuck are we playing at? Everybody out. Back to the ship.
Yeah, exactly.
I dig it. I think they're awesome. I really like some of the changes to KO. I hope that we see interesting lists come out of them, and not just more of the same but with more shit in it because they're cheaper, if that makes sense. I think that would be... I have a feeling
that the clown card's coming back in a big way.
Yeah.
I know someone who's bringing a clown car to Sydney GT.
Yeah. Fair. Is it you?
No, God no.
No, yeah.
Jesus, no. I'd never take Zilfin. I'm staunchly against Zilfin.
Yeah, I think they're too obvious. But yeah, I feel like we'll see a big resurgence of Clown Car, which I'm a little bit disappointed about, I won't lie. But I hope that we see like Barak Zon, I think, featuring like an Iron Sky Squadron, which is the frigates and Arcanauts, with a bunch of Sky Wardens in there. I reckon for combat they could be pretty tough, like real combat, and lots of attacks. Yeah.
One little secret: Zon's the really militant one, right?
Yeah, the combat guys. Yeah. They love stabbing.
Yeah. They get reroll 1 to wound if they charge.
Yep.
Which is like great on riggers, because like more times than not I've rolled too many 1s on them.
You're like 2s to wound. Here come the 1s. Oh baby.
Here come the 1s.
Yeah.
And getting to reroll them is like amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some like cheeky options you can do with their stupid extra move thing. They get to disembark from a ship and then charge, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you could do some wacky things with
they've
them.
got a few different. I just think that they're not used, and I reckon that there's something there that could be found. We'll see. Dad Hammer correctly pointing out that Kron, who was at the top table the last game of CanCon, still I think the largest singles Age of Sigmar event in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong. He went 4 games, was playing on the top table. Won 5 out of 6 games. Last game was playing on the top table. He beat the master Dave Kerr, and a lot of it was down to retreating Thunderers as well. So a very good player, taking real good advantage of those.
He's great. I played him at Sydney GT last year. We had the Admiral off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Whose Admiral was superior?
Urbaz was superior.
Yeah. Okay.
Yours truly was the greatest Admiral in Australia.
The greatest. Greatest. But then he did show you up at CanCon.
But I then changed to Sneaky Elves. So yeah, I've lost that title and I've dishonored my clan. Yeah, so you're Vice Admiral Kron, I salute you.
Yeah, you're a filthy elf player now, that's okay. We can change, but that's all right. Elf Bro is building towards an Ether Strike in Urbaz. Nice. That's going to be savage with solid. All their extra shooting shenanigans, having some Stormcast for durability. I think that's a great combo.
No, I'm not putting any Stormcast in.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
I love, there's a bit of flavor text. So for those who haven't read the KO book, it's actually amazing for a lot of the flavor. And there's this little story where there's an admiral and he's in his ship and there's a big fucking sky shark or some shit coming to eat some shit. And they're fighting it. And then these Stormcasts come in. And the admiral basically looks at them and is like, "Oi, hey, if you guys help us, we'll give you some of the booty. How does that sound?" And the Judicators, or whatever the fuck the flappy flying ones are, prosecutors. The prosecutors are like, "All right, shit, yeah, we're in." That's their exact phrases. And then they fly on in, they start fighting it, and the first mate basically turns to the admiral and is like, what? What are we doing here? We don't ally with shit. That's not cool. And he's like, no, article, blah, blah. You must make use of all of the gold that's in the sky. And then the guy's like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. And obviously the Stormcast are getting killed by the shark. So they're just like, sweet, well, we'll let them do the heavy lifting. We'll come in at the end and we'll just fucking take it all. So I dig it. I think it's a kind of cool vibe, but I can see why you might not want that there.
That's a fun story. It's a very fun story.
Yeah, it's Elf Bro saying the Stormcast and KO shooting the hero phase as well. That's pretty fucked too.
Yeah, there's actually, I think Escort Wing is now like primed to be an incredibly powerful force that's going to blow through tournaments.
Yeah, Grundstock Escort Wings are going to be savage, especially for how much they can keep the primary ship alive as well. I think that's really cool. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. +1 to hit against like a target. That's goodbye Keeper of Secrets, goodbye Terrorgeist.
Yeah, they just, and then bouncing like things on a 6. It's they're pretty fucking savage. But
and I'm so keen for Mercs as well. Sorry.
So you're keen on Mercs?
I want to put some Manhunters and a Firebelly in my KO army.
Okay. Yep.
I want a proper wizard, not a gold-clad
dick.
Arty Lightning Man.
Yep.
I want those man-eaters to guard my chemists like it's like they're being paid to, which they are.
Yeah. Yeah,
that sounds really fun.
See, my gut reaction with the Merc system is that I would actually like it more if it had been restricted. And I think we'll find that TOs might restrict it. Because at the moment, I think there's just too many options, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think there's some drawbacks to it.
To be honest, the Flesh Eater Court's one where you can take all of these Ghoul Kings and shit like that and get so much. Like you can summon and do all of that. Or I just think that what they should have done is created, and what I would have liked the Mercenary system to be, is if it was units that were specifically like mercenary style units, but it was a set like 400 points that you added to your army, if that makes sense.
It is. You still have to follow the allies.
Oh yeah, but if it was like the mercenary detachment or whatever for the ogres was like a fire belly and two units of 3 man-eaters, that's your mercenary detachment. And then they've got a name like the old mercenary dogs of war from Warhammer, and it's like, you know, blah blah's man-eaters, and then you're just like, that's it. Because I think your reasoning and what you want to do with it is 100% right. It's exactly the way it should be. It's cool, it's fun, it's narrative, but it's a bit competitive, but it doesn't break the game. However, there's going to be a bunch of people who just ally in like 2 archregents and 30 ghouls.
Actually, do you know what people do? They ally in that necromancer and those like 40 zombies.
Yeah, necromancer and 40 zombies or some shit like that. So yeah, that's where I like. Or another one that I reckon would be cool is if it was like 2 units of Black Knights with a White King on skeletal steed. You know, like that.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
like I just wish they were kind of set and locked, so that we could go, cool, that's it, and then you could put together things that aren't competitive, because obviously they're not all created equally. 2 archregents and 30 ghouls is infinitely better than some man-eaters and a fire belly. But they're all...
What are you talking about?
What the fuck am I talking about? How fucking dare I? I've got all the man-eater models. I fucking love them. But yeah, I would like... And I think we'll see the mercenary system included in tournaments. I just reckon it's going to be scaled down a little bit, or a little bit more controlled. Because that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, Gargants, yes. Giants, I think we should see everywhere. Because they are kind of across all the aspects of the mortal realms. I think that there are... And ogres as well are known for selling their services, especially man-eaters. So they 100% should. But there are some that I think don't fit the bill.
The Blood Knights I'm looking forward to. They sound really fun.
And none of those really break it for me.
I don't think... I think minus the Fire Slayers and the Flesh Eater Courts, I think like the list they have is actually kind of cool. Like,
yeah, and interesting too. Like, and I like the idea that like the Pistoliers are like disgraced and shit like that. I like the story stuff behind them. So yeah. hopefully we see it applied with its intent, as opposed to seeing it applied just to bust the game. Because Alex pointing out that his 2 archregents will be super narrative, just so fucking narrative.
You wait till they just change their points to 220, and then you can't take 2.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. They're so good. Can we just talk about how fucking good they are for their points? Christ Almighty. And we'll but just quickly we saw some results from Australia over the weekend as well. That I'll just quickly grab up here. The results that we have here are from the Lord of War tournament, which was played down in Victoria. And I know that you know a few of the blokes that went down there, correct?
Yeah, there were 3 of the Sydney guys that I know that went down. So there was the villain himself, Lem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was Jordan Burgos. And
Nathan extraordinaire. Yeah.
Princey. And then Nathan Princey.
The prince. The golden, beautiful prince himself is a gigantic, gorgeous man. One of the best huggers in all of Warhammer. Could rival Adam Chucklebuddy for giving the best hugs at any given tournament. But at Lords
I know that the Nurgle was Jordan and Stormcast was Nathan for the Grand Creepster.
Yes.
Which I have no idea what that is.
So
they both...
So yeah, this is what I love. So Grand Creepster is overall, right? So best overall. So that was like sports, painting, gaming combined. And I believe that painting was capped and stuff like that. So you have your best overall, which they called the Grand Creepster, which is an amazing thing to call your top prize. And then best general, which was literally just games won and lost, and your VPs, but your VPs were capped. And it's interesting seeing the massive difference between these two things, because best general, which is just play on the day and capped VPs, the top 5 were Scaventide, Flesh Eater Courts, Flesh Eater Courts, Disciples of Tzeentch, Flesh Eater Courts. And the 2 Flesh Eater Courts
I
list...
was
Yeah,
I was super excited to see Tzeentch back.
Oh yeah, Tzeentch, I think, when they first came out, were fucked. Now they're not, and so I actually kind of like seeing a little bit of love for them. So yeah, I'm happy to see them there. But the Flesh Eater Courts lists that came second and third were pretty much identical, except for a couple of different... one had a formation and one less endless spell. The other one didn't have a formation and had an extra endless spell, but they were almost identical. Both doing the Flesh Eater Courts Grand Delusion Feast Day. The Flesh Eater Courts that came fifth was just a Gristlegore list. The Scaventide list was a Plague Monk heavy, whatever they're called, Pestilence list. So that's like where you sit with Best General. And no fucking shade at the people playing that, because that is totally fine. If you put that together and you got that army, go out there and shit mix. Like, obviously, if you're playing Flesh Eater Courts and you're running these armies, you're trying to put together something top tier competitive. And that's so fine. You have access to it, you can go ahead and use it. I just personally, I'm kind of like, I can't wait for them to change those points, because I'm kind of getting sick of Flesh Eater Courts.
They've just gone from hero to from 0 to hero
Yeah.
in just the space of a few months, and it's a little insane.
It is. I think it's big. They do, and the feedback that a lot of people give is that it's a negative play experience. Like, they pile in an attack before you. If you kill them, they pile in an attack after. They can touch you from anywhere across the board. They can pile in an attack multiple times, so you can't even screen against them very easily. It's just kind of crazy. So yeah, I think that it's good. I will say though, I love seeing the Scaventide getting in first with a list, a Pestilence list, because it's a bit different. It's got something cool in there. I'm happy to see Pestilence do well. It did have the Vortex, which is just, the Rat Trap is point for point the best spell in the goddamn game. People used to complain about the Everblaze Comet. It ain't got nothing on the Rat Trap.
Amen.
And I had a look at the list as well. And, Captain Andrew, was that you? Was that your list? Am I talking about your list? Because if that's your army, or if, at least you probably, maybe what you're saying is you play Pestilence. All of the characters were named, and I fucking love that on a list. I love reading a list and seeing all the names in there. That just tickles my gonads in a special way. But yeah, I just think that's kind of cool to see it there, but a lot of Flesh Eater Courts as well. However, the Grand Creepster, which is best overall, so gaming, sports, and capped painting. First place went to Free Peoples. Second place went to Jordan and his Nurgle. And third place went to the Prince himself, Nathan Princey, with his Stormcast Eternals. And I just think that's fucking awesome. Because I guess look at the massive disparity between the lists doing well when you include those other things. And I think it's kind of interesting. So yeah. It'd be interesting to see.
Their armies are beautiful painted.
Gorgeous, yeah.
A beautifully painted Free Guild army is probably one of the most beautiful things you can see. They're old models, but if they're painted gorgeously, that army can look spectacular.
They're actually, so I believe this was one of the armies that won Best Painted at CanCon, the Judge's Choice, because the two best painted armies at CanCon, so 200 players, 200 armies, the top two best painted armies were both Free Peoples. They were both Free Guild. And they were absolutely gorgeous. I believe this is one of them, but it's spectacular.
I mean, I've seen Jordan stuff, and it's really nice.
Yeah,
it's Nurgle, and it's got that shade of jaundiced yellow over it, but
it's disgusting.
It's beautifully done.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm gonna have a chat to Jordan and see if we can have a talk to him, because people might have seen there've been actually a few good placings for Nurgle coming out of Australia, and it's pretty much just Jordan. Waving the banner for them. In much the same way that you're one of the few waving the banner for Deepkin down there. Deepkin didn't really take off in Australia.
It did for a bit. There was a few people, but it wasn't as big as the rest of the world.
Yeah, we I guess because we live with sharks attacking us every day, Australians just aren't as excited about celebrating them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
Um,
speaking of sharks, we should talk about sharks.
yeah, let's talk about the other half of the Deepkin book.
The other half. So
The rest of the book.
the bits of the book that nobody gets to. So the first off, for those who've joined us a little bit late, Ben, the incredible human being that he is, here Sydney Slaughter, large event in Sydney that we've spoken about a little bit, came fifth with his Deepkin. Now, largely Deepkin lists that do well seem to fit a very common mold, that mold being a fuck ton of combat eels. But your list, actually, I've got it here. I'll pull it up so that everybody can have a little look-ski. We've got the list. Let me just get rid of that one there so that people can actually see it. There we go. And the gladiators as well. I like that. I like that we're themed. Because, you need a theme, right?
Yeah. I like the idea of Futhan, but I didn't do the armor color scheme, and so I was like, oh, they're definitely gladiators.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And they fight in their like giant gladiator city.
And then they just
for the honor.
And then they just rock out and bring a fuck ton of sharks with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. And I don't think I've seen any Aloplexes or Pexes or however the fuck you pronounce it. I haven't seen any of them in any lists for Deepkin that have done well anywhere, right? Like correct me if I'm wrong. And chat, throw it at me. But I swear I have not seen a single list do well with a single shark, let alone a quarter of their points spent on chompy boys. But you just fucking love them, right? Like I remember even when I was in Sydney, when you were putting them together and putting them up, you were like, I fucking love these.
Yeah, like when the book first came out, I looked at the sharks and I was just like, they are like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all like they're great. They're just like the bite and the shooting and everything. It's just like these are amazing, and they were like some of my favorite models when they released the video.
Yeah,
they were really cool, and when they first came out, I couldn't write a list that I was happy with because I wanted to fit all the sharks in, and I just couldn't. And then we're at a gaming night one day, and Ash McEwen was there, and I was like, I really want to start my Deepkin army.
Yeah.
Really want to run sharks, and he's just like, just do it, just run the sharks.
Do it.
I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, fine, I'll do it. So I remember me and Dan Brewer were sitting in the McDonald's car park. After having McFlurries, and
which is just it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing for creating a flavor in the brain as well. I find that I write my best lists while cramming refined sugar into my body.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly.
Right?
And we wrote this list, and it came out exactly 2,000 points. And I'm like,
oh,
yep, this is what I run. It's got all the stuff that I want to paint in it.
Yeah,
like perfect, excellent.
All right, so for those listening at home, Alex commenting in the chat that earlier today on the English Age of Sigmar Mondays, Rob was talking to a guy who took 27 eels, and then tonight we're talking about 4 fucking sharks. So yeah, there we go. Like we're obviously we here have our fingers on the button because eels are the past, right? Like eels are fuck off eels. We don't need you anymore. Sharks is the future, which should be evident by how many people a year make the news for being killed by eels. How many people a year end up in the news for being killed by sharks?
They don't close beaches because of eels.
No,
let's just say that.
No. If someone sees an eel in the water, people assume that someone shit themselves while they were surfing. They're just like, it's probably just a turd or a log or something. If even dolphins rock up and people mistake them for sharks, they'll close the beaches. That is why sharks are superior. That's why we're talking about sharks, because eels are dead to us. Like, fuck off eels.
Yep. Okay. So I don't want to say that I'm totally against eels, but they don't need to be in the quantities that they are taken.
No, and I think that what we saw previously was eels were underpointed, arguably. at combat eels were 120 or 140 for however fucking many
they were always 160. They were always 160.
160, right. But they were just underpointed for how many wounds, how durable, how much damage, and how quickly they could get into combat. Which is why you saw a lot of them. And they often won their games. They seemingly won their games turn one. They popped up, shit-mixed their opponent, hopefully got the roll for priority, and then it was effectively another Clown Car Zilfin list, except with fucking turd eels as opposed to anything cool. And then you come along in the world where sharks had been forgotten and remind us all to be scared of the water. So for anyone who is listening and not watching live, run us through your list. Because I've got the list on the screen here so everyone can follow along that's watching, but from the horse's mouth, give it to us.
So this list was built half in it. I didn't want it to be a complete pushover list, but I didn't want it to be like a ruin my opponent's day kind of list. And it basically has all the kind of cool stuff that I really liked in the reveal video, and I just sort of wanted to put them in, and then there's sort of like necessary stuff that has to go in.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I would say that I do the same with my Dispossessed. I build the list around things that I like and the things that I want and I find interesting, but then I also build the rest of the list around what can make that competitive. So I can enjoy my games and enjoy my army.
Not a pushover, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love Volturnos, and I think Volturnos is just way better than a normal king for the extra 40 points.
And savagely, you had to buy and build him twice.
I did, yeah. That was fun.
It was rough.
We had a bad run-in with white spray, and I had to buy him again.
Yep, that spray. In the chat, anyone who can commiserate with having a rough spray session where it bubbles or just wipes out detail or goes all like mealy and kind of dusty on it. Australia is very bad for it because of a combination of our heat and humidity. Our white spray can be real shit. Even if you test it, then use it like 5 minutes later, it can fuck you up.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Awful. So I am now staunchly a grey kind of person, and I will hand paint white over the white details that need to be white.
Well, at least now that Grey Seer and Wraithbone are out there, we've got lighter base colours that aren't white.
I'm still not touching them. I still don't trust them.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Still don't trust them.
Anyway,
exactly.
So Volturnus that you needed to do twice. He was so nice, we decided to do him twice.
Yeah, we have to do him twice. So he was amazing. I read his stuff and he's like, yep. And he's got a sweet eye patch. Like, come on.
Yeah, right. He's a pirate elf. Jesus, you're done.
Exactly, yeah. And then I've got the Eidolon, which had to go in. The Eidolon was another must take because it was just amazing. But I couldn't decide which of the two I wanted to take. And then I always liked the Storm. I thought he was good. But then the rest of the community was saying, no, the magic guy is so much better. But then I had a chat with Dan Brewer again.
The
beautiful
Sage
man.
Warhammer. And can we just say how many Australian wargamers at tournaments have breathed a sigh of relief that he has stepped away from the competitive scene for a little while, so just giving some other people a chance. As much as he is actually a beautiful, beautiful person to play against.
He's an amazing person, yeah.
He's incredible to play against because you learn so much about his army, about the game, about everything. But at a tournament, I know if I get drawn against him, the fun thing is I'm like, if I can beat him, I earned this. Like, you don't beat him by tricks. You beat him by cunning play.
Exactly.
He's been on the show before. He's an absolute babe, but he's also super talented. So you were talking to him about the Eidolon and going the non-magic route.
So I kept talking to him being like, I really like the Storm. I think he's amazing, but everyone else says that the Sea is great. And he was like, no, I agree with you. The Storm is just way better than the Sea. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? And so it just happened to be that I was just like, the Storm is actually amazing.
Yeah.
And so, so I wanted to take at least one big wave guy. And so I was like, okay, big wave guy, in we go. Storm,
done.
Cool. He's sweet. I had to put a Soul Scryer in because you have to. That's kind of necessity.
Yeah.
You need to take at least one.
Just for that little bit of shenanigans,
For the flexibility, I hated the model, so I converted mine out of Mistweaver.
Yeah, your Tidecaster.
My
Your Soulscryer. Yep.
But I also, so I don't use her like most people use the Soulscryer.
Right.
Like I do use it for the 3 inches extra charge that you get in the promo ability.
Yeah.
Most people like to take her off board with a bunch of eels or something.
And use that pop
to ambush
kind
them.
of double tap thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What I found to be much more interesting and actually I think much more powerful is using her in the rituals.
Okay, right. Use it to get those off.
Yeah, because she's the only one with the priest keyword.
Yeah.
And so she gets +2 every time she tries to do a ritual. So you're getting that ritual of much more consistently.
Yep.
And it can be absolutely devastating to an opponent if you use it right. So like you can shut down all their flying stuff. You can take away their cover, or you can like just beef your Eidolon up to the 9s.
I mean, yeah, like let's be honest. The cover one for me is probably more interesting if you're playing against, say, Sylvaneth or Deepkin or something that relies on cover in certain turns. But so yeah, shutting down flying is fucking insane.
I've used it against Stormcast. They've put their Sequitors in like big block of cover.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nope, don't get your anymore.
No. Yeah, and then they're like, wait,
and then
what?
I send my sharks in, and then I just mince them, and it's great. But I found the flying one is like particularly good. I like to tell my opponent about the rituals before they start deploying, just so they know that I can shut their flying down.
Yeah.
They usually don't listen, and so I've had free guild generals on Griffins.
No.
Behind a line of like all their like great companies or whatever, and I'm just like, no, you can't fly, and they're just like, I can't get my free guild general on Griffin over my line. I'm like, yep. And so I'm free to run my sharks up and start shooting all the handgunners behind their
which is, I mean, I guess the difference is the rat trap can do that, but at least the rat trap they've got to get a spell off, whereas you're like, it's a prayer, motherfucker.
It's not even a prayer; it's a ritual. Like there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Just in the chat, Dad Hammer agreeing with you. Always spray grey is the go-to, which is that's fair. We'll get Tomb King Tristan looking. Yeah, we'll get Dan on for a chat. But good night, Tomb King Tristan. Have a lovely evening. Go and sleep well, you beautiful, beautiful human being. But yeah, I think that I've played against Deepkin a couple of times where the prayers just kept not happening because there wasn't someone reliable trying to get them off. The rituals, I should say.
Yeah. And if you're going to do the rituals, you need to like plan for them because like I don't just rely on the Soul Scry to get them off. I use like the combo of the ship, which gives +1, and then you have every other issue around here and nearby adds another +1 to that.
Right.
So usually the combo I can get it down to, and I usually deploy my Soul Scry on board most of the time.
Right, just for that +2.
I'm not a particularly alpha strikey kind of person unless like it's really needed. She's usually on the board and she's usually next to a ship and she's usually got her wizard bitch friend next to her.
Yeah.
So I can get off on a 6 and that's pretty reliable.
Yeah. There's a good chance that you're getting that one, as opposed to the amount of times you see people just stand there being like, nope, no joy. That's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't rely on it all the time, but it's like a particularly potent if it goes off.
Especially if your opponent's relying on flying or something like to that extent to jump your lines or to jump their lines or hide behind a screen. It's fucking awesome.
So continuing on from the Soul Scryer, we got Tidecaster, which just she has to go in because she's a cool model. But like having a bit of magic is always like kind of cool. I have taken her out in lists before, and I found that it's just not as good having not a wizard in there.
Yeah, and she's got a whole lot of utility because a lot of their spells as well. They've got a number of like buff and debuff spells too, which I think is where it's the most useful. Or even just putting Mystic Shield on something, I think is really useful for them too.
That's in the end, like after playing it for like 6 months, that's mostly what she does now.
You are a Mystic Shield battery.
Yeah, yeah, that's all she does. Because all the Deepkin spells are hard to get off on her. Like, there are 7, and I roll really badly to cast.
Yep, good.
It's my time with the dwarves that have just infected me. I just
That's
roll
it.
badly with magic.
Yeah, I've started allying in some wizards into my dispossessed, and I understand that the first probably 6 to 12 months I'm going to fail a lot of spells because I need to atone for not having cast magic in a very long time. So yeah, that's fair.
Exactly.
I'm glad to hear that that's a universal problem and not just exclusive to myself.
No. It's the curse for the dwarf player changing armies.
Yeah, we've got to try. We get a new phase, which is fun. But we have to pay our dues to be able to cast shit in that phase, and that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
All right, so your battle line is 2
Let's
tens
talk
of
about battle
thralls, which
2 tens of thralls.
amazing battle line.
Oh yeah, they're incredible. They're just, I mean, they will shred like paper, but they will shred whatever they hit like paper.
But they're like, oh, what's that? You got 1 wound? Let's talk about all these other attacks I'm getting. Oh, you've got more than 1 wound? Let's talk about all this extra damage I'm doing. They're amazing. They're so good.
Yeah, I mean, they're just great for like screening, holding objectives. If you really need to kill that like ethereal amulet zombie, vampire lord and zombie dragon, like the amount of times I've killed one of them with just 10 thralls is like hilarious.
Yeah, they're also, I mean, and they just came down too, didn't they?
Yeah, by 10 points, which is like it's quite good. I'm happy with that.
10 points here, 10 points there, starts to add up.
Yeah.
So 6 shield guard as well.
Yeah, the Ishleyan, they were the last to go in because I don't rate eels as highly as some other people do.
You're not an eel lover?
But they fulfill a particular role in the army, which is important, but you don't need to spam them.
Well, not everyone would agree with you, though. There are a lot of people out there that are like, how do I play Warhammer? I spam eels. How many eels do you have, sir? 28 fucking eels.
Yeah, exactly. And so I took the Ishleyan because I only had like exactly 280 points left in the list. And so like, I'll just put some Ishleyan in. I've already got enough damage from the Thralls, Volturnos, the Storm, and the Sharks that I don't need more so in there. I need something that can like take a hit from me, and just being able to ignore rend is incredible.
And I mean, 6 of them with their long bases as well can build quite a decent shield wall. Like they're
exactly
280 points, but it's chaff that will not die. So yeah, I can see.
No. Yeah, no. So they're important in there just to tie up something like. Like, you put it into a vampire lord and zombie dragon, and it's just, like, can't really do that much.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden that vampire lord on zombie dragon, which is the bane of just about any other unit's existence, is like, wait, I can't hurt them? And you're like, yeah, you can't rend them, and my little Tidecaster gave them Mystic Shield, because that's all she does. So have fun. Welcome to the Ethereal Amulet show featuring eels.
Yeah, and actually, they're actually really good in combat as well, because against stuff that just has like regular saves, because they just have more attacks, just no rend.
Yeah, so they're just gonna scratch you to death, kind of the same way that Slanesh does.
Yeah, exactly, and they're just great at killing Nighthaunt as well.
Yeah, actually,
they just put up massive attacks and just forces those like 4-up saves.
And all of that fucking like, and we probably won't see as much of it, the Grimghast Reaper spam. It'll still be there. We're still going to get 30s of Grimghast Reapers. But now that they're that bit more expensive, it won't be as common. But yeah, you really did have to plan, right? Like I would look at my list and go, how does my list kill 30 Grimghast Reapers? Because reliably to kill them, you need to do 60 wounds to get past their 4-up unrendable save. But then they save 1 in 6 of those with their death save. So you need to do 60 wounds and then another 1 in 6 on top of that to guarantee that you kill the unit. And I'm like, shit, how many units can actually survive a couple of rounds of combat and still do that? Whereas the Shaolin Guard, as soon as they've dropped 2 models, they're not getting their buffs against them and stuff like that. So yeah, they're a tanky little unit.
They're great. Yeah, no, and they're fast and they're great for capturing objectives. And I mean, like, so yeah, eels aren't like they're great, but they fulfill a particular purpose. And it's important, but not to have 27 of them.
Elfbro Hayden in the chat commenting in and saying that units of 3 have a great time against Grimghast Reapers. No rerolls for you. Yes, and once they do lose that, they start to lose a lot of their teeth. But speaking of teeth, the last part of your list, by far the most important part.
Yeah, exactly. Is the 4 alapexes.
And is that 4 individual alaplexes?
No, that's 4 in a unit. That's the max size.
One unit of 4 fucking sharks. Amazing.
When I flipped through the Deepkin book for the first time, I saw you could take a max unit of 4. I was so excited.
So you're like,
So I like this has to happen.
And it's like, I would assume as a player, even if I knew that most people take eels, if I saw someone with a unit of 4 sharks, I would look at them and be like, they're a bad time. They are just not good.
They are a very bad time. And I've heard people, so I wax lyrical on about them all the time. And like, I'm just that guy now who has the sharks.
You're the shark man. Yeah.
Yeah. But some people compare them to Morsa and be like, the alapexes do exactly the same thing as the Morsa, just worse. And I'm like, no, they don't. They fulfill a completely different role to Morsa.
Yeah.
Like, you're just wrong.
So how are they different?
That is a false statement.
How are they different? Talk me through it.
So, alapexes have, everyone forgets this, but they have this shooting attack on their back.
Yeah.
Which is something that Morsa can't do. They can't hit things from range. They have to go into combat. So you can have your sharks just like swimming around behind like a unit of Ishlayan or whatever. And they're just punking out those like little foot characters that are like buffing and supporting stuff. Like I've killed Castellans, like little grot heroes that are like doing annoying stuff, like fanatics, all that kind of stuff that you can't.
The little stuff that you just need to scratch off.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the other thing as well is screens too. They're fast enough to get up 3 inches away, and if it's just a light unit, shoot the screen to reduce it so that they can position on the charge and actually either use them to tag into something else or completely kill them and bypass them too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's great for dealing with free guild great companies because you just kill the units of crossbowmen or the hang behind them, and then you can charge in like more than safely and like more than happily take whatever's left.
Yeah, remove the danger shit.
So there's the 2 options of the shooting. There's the harpoons, which are 3 shots each, or the 1 net attack. I like the nets because less dice I have to roll, takes up less time.
Just efficiency.
It's just more fun. It's just more fun. But it does 3 damage, so which is like catches a lot of people off guard when they're like, oh, it's like 3 net shots went through. Oh, that's a shame. And I'm like, that's 9 damage, and they're like, what?
Oh. And you're like, take all of that off, son. Yeah. I love. We're being corrected in the chat. Your unit of 4 sharks. It's not called a unit. It's a school. It's a school of sharks, apparently.
Okay, I'll email GW and be like,
you need to change the terminology. I mean, I'd love to call it like a bite of sharks or something like that. But yeah, I guess the one disappointing thing about sharks is that they only have 1 attack with their bite. Like that one thing that everyone's terrified about sharks for is their mouth.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That everyone looks at that bite and they're like, it's terrible. Okay, sure. It's not the best. It's not the greatest thing in the world. But you need to look above at the other 2 attack profiles rather than the bites.
Right. So talk me through.
You need to look at the 5 attacks the riders put out.
Yeah.
So they put out 5 each. So you're putting out 20 attacks. Like they've got no rend, whatever. They're a bit like they're okay. But 20 attacks in a unit of 4, like it has killed so many things.
Yep. So
and then they've got, and then below that you've got the fin attacks. So there's 4 attacks each on each shark. They're -1 rend.
Yeah.
Like you can get 16 attacks off fairly reliably.
Yeah.
At
And
-1
then
rend,
the bites.
like that's killing a bunch of stuff. And then the bites are just like the cherry on top. Like they're not the thing that's gonna kill. They might like finish it off, but they're not gonna like kill whatever it is. And so that's -2 rend, 3 damage.
I guess that's
quite
until
nice, but like
until you get to high tide, right? And then suddenly,
we'll get to that.
Oh, okay. We're not even at high tide yet. We're just talking
get
about
to that.
sharks regular.
Yeah. So you need to look at all of the melee profiles it has, and they've got 10 attacks each. Like,
yeah, true.
Like stuff dies to those top 2 attacks, not even the bite.
Yeah, and I guess it also gives them kind of functionality too. Like, say they go into something that ignores rend, they've got enough attacks per model to put out enough damage to kind of take it down. But say they go into something that's got armor, they have a bit of rend to cut through it too. So yeah, I guess that's true. It's something that you don't see on, say, the eels so much. They usually either rely on a ton of attacks or they're relying on mortal wounds to do what they need to do.
Exactly, yeah. And their one ability scroll, which like some people say that it's a problem with the war scroll. It's not really. Their one little bonus they get is they get to reroll charges if they're within 12 inches of a wounded model.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work on single wound models.
Yeah.
Like units of single wound models. It does work on multi-wound models though. So if they're within range of a wounded hero, let's say. So you've shot a hero, you haven't killed it with your nets, but you put 3 wounds on it. Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, great.
You now get to re-roll those charges with those sharks if you're within 12 of them.
Okay, here's a question. Does that count if the unit itself is wounded?
No. So
it's got to be enemies.
Model. It's So it's enemy models.
Yeah. Cool.
So it works perfectly with Stormcast if you've got a unit of Sequitors, one who's taken a wound or whatever. Yeah, sure. But if it's against like Grots or whatever, just because they've taken like 6 wounds or whatever, you can't get the reroll charges off.
But I guess that then is the reason that them having a shooting attack is so useful. Because you put that shooting attack into something to give yourself rerolls to charge without needing to spend a command point too. I reckon that's actually kind of useful.
Yeah. I mean, you usually are pretty close anyway by that point, but you can roll a double 1 at some point.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other thing is you're Deepkin. But it's one of those things where you only ever roll double 1s on charges that you can't afford to fail. Because so you need them when you need them. I remember a very, very unfortunate game against, I think it's Eldritch Council, all the Dragon Blades or whatever they are and whatnot. My opponent rolling, Sydney GT last year, my opponent rolled 2 back-to-back double 1s on a re-rollable 3-inch charge. And it was heartbreaking. LLV saying the bite should hit on a 2 because shark bites are accurate. I disagree. Sharks aren't very accurate with their mouths. They just have large mouths and grab with and shake. Yeah, that's their skill. But I do agree that they should hit on a 2 because Deepkin sharks should be fucking terrible. Also, g'day LLV. Wonderful to see you in the chat.
To be honest though, like if you get the combos going, you get the 3s rerolling 1s, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. It's basically hitting on 2s anyway.
So very quickly you're like, yeah, I'm gonna cut you apart, and then you think about it, and then we haven't even got to high tide. But before we do, let me just say that gin mojito sour beer was delicious, and now I'm moving on to a Granville Island Brewing Company German-style Pilsner. So thank you so much to all of the alcohol that has kept me running this evening. Again, none of this has anything to do with the show. The Honest Wargamer doesn't have sponsorship. I am just saying thank you to the delicious beer that is just going down my fat mouth and into my gullet. Oh, look at that. That's a good place to be.
I'm pretty jealous at the moment.
Yeah, right. All you got is coffee, man. I'm putting away beers, but then again,
I've run out of coffee.
You're out of coffee. Oh no! We're in a dark place. But
in a very dark place.
But so that's the list as it is now. High tide.
Let's get
everyone's
to High Tide.
biggest terror turn if you are playing against Deepkin. High Tide.
Yeah.
And especially when you've got Volturnus, who is the terror monkey of them all.
Exactly, yeah. So if you're lucky enough to have Volturnus survive until turn 3, and you're running like normal tide chart, then you get to spend 1 command point and pick 3 different Deepkin units to add +1 to all of their melee attack profiles.
Mm-hmm. And by that turn, do you often have more than 1 command point spared up?
I generally have 3 command points, like 3 command points that I've saved up.
So you're picking 3 units to receive 3 attacks each.
I'm not bothering to save those like 10 trolls from like fleeing from Battle Shock. I want those 3 command points to rip through whatever I need to rip through.
Yeah.
And it generally goes on my Volturnus. It usually gets, so I spend it 3 times. So I pick 3 units each time. So it goes on Volturnus. Volturnus gets 3 attacks each on all these things. The eels usually get 3 attacks each on these things, and then the sharks usually get. So the sharks now go from 1 bite attack each
to 4
bites each.
Yeah, right. So High Tide for most armies been like terrifying. This just goes from 0 to 100 very quickly.
Yeah, so they literally will rip through whatever they are stuck in combat with.
Yeah, and that's not fun for anyone as well. I guess because it's +3 to every attack profile as well. So the guys on top of...
Yeah, if you get the 3 command points off, yep.
Yeah, so the guys on top are making 8 attacks.
8, 7, 4. It doesn't affect the shooting attack?
Yeah, but I mean, look, let's be honest. At that point in time, you don't need it. Your opponent is just sitting there twitching on the ground, being like, stop it, they're already dead. And you're just standing there over them, I assume, just holding your phone and playing the Jaws theme song as you don't break eye contact.
Most of the time, I just roll the bites out. Like, I don't bother doing the riders because the bites usually just kill whatever they kill.
And 100%, you talk about the Sharknado in High Tide, right?
Yeah. This is the Sharknado.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're just like, are you ready? Not even Tara Reid coming back and trying to breathe some life into her career can save you down.
Exactly, yeah. And like this is what also makes Alapexes great against Morsa, is Morsa only get their rend if they charge. So if your opponent gets the charge off on the Morsa and manages to survive the mortal wounds, they're not doing anything. Like, they're something
kind of
relatively
flicking it
good
around.
armor, they're kind of not doing anything. The Sharks, however, if you want to charge the Sharks, more than happy to take that charge, because they will hit back more than they will take.
Well, I guess they're it's the beauty of a unit that is just as dangerous off the charge as on.
Yeah, because the consistent rend is what makes them, like, in my opinion, amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It's reliability. It's why you are seeing a lot of grot lists doing well, steering away from the things that are kind of random and leaning into the things that are reliable.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah. Elfbro in the chat commenting that I didn't want to name names. But he was saying, don't remind me, I still have nightmares. So the game I was talking about where the dragon failed its rerollable 3-inch charge was at Masters 2017, where my dwarves walked all the way across the table to win Knife to the Heart. It was a very long walk. They were very tired by the time they got there. LV saying that Granville Island Brewing Company is nice. Thank you. It's very delicious at the moment, given that it's already half gone. Wild Turkey Old Fashioned, Mark Tide. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful drink right there. You should treat yourself to a spiced rum Old Fashioned. Just halve the sugar that you put in it because it'll be too much. Vanilla Sass Alex saying that that you Ben were doing some Iron Jaws level command point stacking, which he was a big fan of at the Wet Coast GT. He did an Infinity War where you got like, what was the Alex, comment in the chat what your highest amount of command points in a turn were. And Elf Bro, very disappointed that we haven't sung Baby Shark at any point today. I'm so sorry. We don't have time for an entire a cappella Baby Shark performance. But maybe that's something we can prepare at another time. So speaking of the event, what armies did you play? You came 5th. What did you have to go up against?
So I came 5th, but I feel like I had a fairly not so bad run.
Okay.
Other people had some pretty rough runs. So I think I owe 5th position to like having a relatively cruisy time through it, which happened.
Yeah.
So I first thing I came up against was a Legion of Sacrament list with Arkan.
Yeah.
He managed to Hand of Dust a shark.
Okay.
Not Hand of Dust, Curse of Years a shark.
That's fine. Yeah.
There were still 3 there, so they ate him afterwards. Second was against Jordan Burgess's Nurgle.
Yeah. Now, firstly, I would say that Legion of Sacrament are not doing poorly out there. They're doing quite well for themselves. So I wouldn't say that that's an easy run. Jordan, for his money, is one of Australia's best Age of Sigmar players, I would say. He's only been playing a short time, but we've seen his name podiuming repeatedly at multiple events.
Yeah.
So,
and he's fairly new to this as well, so it's like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, he's transferred over from 40k, and Jesus, he is a force to be reckoned with, yes?
Yeah. And that was a tough game. I played him twice in the 2 weeks leading up to Sydney Slaughter, and I lost both of them.
Yeah.
So it was a tough game, but just managing to pull it out with Volturnos killing Rodigus.
Yeah, I
had objective back.
I had Chris on last week, and he was actually he spoke about your game, about like looking at your game and being like, "Oh, cool, that looks quite comfortably in Ben's hands. Like you had it, and then all of a sudden Rodigus was on the objective and immovable and whatnot, and you were trying to push him back off or something like that."
Yeah. So I had to there was some wacky command abilities, so I ended up having to teleport to Turnos and him making the charge, and he did, and it was glorious.
Yeah, right. Far out. Okay, so game 2, Nurgle. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one, but managed to pull it out. I think it was like 16, 17, I think, to me.
Right, so wow. Okay,
that was tough.
Tight game.
Next game was against the legend himself, Peter Prettyman.
Yep. Beautiful man. Wonderful human being.
Mixed Destruction, Magma Dragon, Giant Colossal Squig.
Yeah.
Amazing Mixed Destruction army. It's so fun to play against. His Magma Dragon charged into my Sharks. And then my Sharks ate his Magma Dragon in a turn.
No!
Yes.
You're kidding.
So I feel like this was a slight mistake on his part, but he charged some Boingrot Bounders into my Namadi. And he's like, I'm going to activate against the Namadi first. I'm like, okay, that's fair. But then my Sharks... But then I activated... I was like, you would have killed the Sharks with that Magma. And so, the Sharks got their full... 4 of them got their full attacks against Magma Dragon and just killed it.
And then...
They did 20 wounds to it and killed it. And then he did the mortal wounds back to me and killed a single Shark.
Oh, God. And the whole time, you're sitting there just being like, all right, Sharks, you don't have to do anything else for the rest of the game. You've done your work. Like, you've
made your points up.
They're full, you know? Like, they're the chief predator of the deep. They've filled their bellies. They're like, oh, fuck me, I'm done. I am so done.
That's good,
I'm okay.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Yep. So mixed destruction there in game 3. What did we pick up game 4?
And then I played against yet another opponent I've played against but never bested, which was Stephen Drury and his Legions of Nagash.
Yeah. Well, and what was in this Legions of Nagash list?
It was a pretty stock standard Nagash list. It was Nagash, Necromancer, Vampire Lord, 30 Grimghast, shit tons of skeletons.
Yeah.
And then Min Dog Battalion.
Right. Yes. Okay.
And he just managed to get the double turn off me with his Grimghast.
Oh no!
And it was over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I made a play for if I had have got the turn 3 priority, Sharks would have gone into Nagash and murdered him.
Yeah.
But I lost that priority, and it was already going downhill. But I was like, I can maybe pull this back if I win the priority.
Yeah. It just
didn't happen.
Turns on your heel real hard and just smashes you.
Yeah, so that was my one loss for that weekend.
Yeah, so we went 4-1.
But he's a great opponent, so
yeah. I mean, look. Let's be honest. Nagash and 30 Grimghast Dust Reapers and a bunch of skeletons with minimum dog battle line.
Yeah,
it's nothing we haven't seen before. However, it does make a huge difference when the person fucking you up with it is a lovely human being.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so Game 5.
Game 5 was against the best painted army in show. Travis.
Oh, it's Khorne?
With his Stormcast Khornate army.
Oh, they are beautiful.
It is gorgeous. I got to ask him lots of questions about how he did his bases, and it was really cool to see that.
Travis is right up there with one of the tippity top bestest of the best painters. His hobby level is incredible. His conversion level is amazing.
It was a beautiful game to watch because it was just like two really nice painted armies just like against each other,
smashing each other. And I mean that's it. Like, and credit to you as well. So when did you start? When did you pick up the hobby?
Like 3 years ago probably, but not like getting proper gaming until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you're because arguably you're relatively new blood, right? Like 2 years is more than enough time in Age of Sigmar terms, but it's not like you were an old Warhammer fantasy player who dropped out and came back or did anything like a bunch of the old shitheads like myself.
No.
So I guess the point being, like, for yourself, your painting just, and I've said this to you before, but I'll say it to everyone, it's incredible how far your painting came so quickly.
Story behind this is I did an okay job on my KO, but like I wasn't happy. Like I did such a dull color scheme, and I was like, that's why I chose Deepkin. Well, because I can go a bit crazier now.
Your KO was a very factory kind of like mechanical scheme, and it lent heavily on metallics and oxide and stuff like that. Which it looked good. Yeah. It like, not to say that you didn't put effort into it, but the stark contrast between that and then the organics. I hope you've got photos out there on Twitter and stuff like that, so that people can see. But like the bone armor, the flesh, the colors of the animals. You're like, it's actually like myself to get to the painting that I am at the moment. I by no means think that I'm a very good painter, but I do an okay job. It's taken me like a fucking decade to be able to do that. And you've done it in like 2 goddamn years. Like, I just remember seeing that the first model you finished and being like, holy shit. So yeah, man, like your army is, well, it's not tabletop. It's beyond that. And it's beautiful as well. It's stunning.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'm keen to see what you do next.
Yeah, it was just an army that I could push myself with, really. It was just like, I'm going to learn things. I'm going to learn freehand. I didn't get any freehand points for my KO. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do freehand. I'm going to do all this. So,
I'll give it a shot. Gammy's in the chat. The most attractive man in all of Warhammer. Arguably, like, definitely the most attractive man in all of Warhammer in Australia. Arguably the most attractive man in all of Warhammer in the world. And just the greatest human being in the world. G'day, mate. Lovely to see you here. Vanilla Disaster, Alex commenting in that his highest stacked was is 23.
Jesus.
But his average was 12 a turn. No, 12 average, but his average at the tournament was 15, I think, or his highest at the tournament was 15. Because he was 200 or 400 points down or something and had the Ether Quartz brooch and all these extra command abilities. It was basically designed about creating an amount of wars that he ended up getting like 20 plus attacks per profile, per model. It was insane. Oh, Gabby, stop it, you beautiful man. You don't need to be shucks. You know you're gorgeous. But yeah, it was. So I guess he's also appreciating. I mean, you're like the baby command point stacker to his supreme command point stacking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's next for you? So Deepkin obviously just got a bunch of GHB points drops. So what are your? I guess I'd like to ask you, because we on the Honest Wargamer, Rob has spoken to a couple of wonderful players, and mostly the focus has been on eels. Because eels were, let's say, the bad guy. Let's say they were the bad guy. Now, looking at this, your list that you did so well with did not really feature much in the way of eels. And
so, no, a lot of this went down.
Yeah, like how many points?
Which is a worry.
How many points down did your 5th place getting list end up?
So this list got an extra 70 points to play with. So not enough to do anything with, but I can play around with a few things.
Yeah, right. Cool. Like you could drop something here, swap it for this, X, Y, Z, do all of that.
With this list, I've always wanted to put some endless spells in.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool, yeah.
And I've always thought like Pendulum is really cool to put in. But then I recently discovered Life Swarm.
Yeah.
Which no one has been taking at all.
Did it get a points drop in the new GHB, or is it the same?
Yeah, it got a 10 points drop, so it's now 50 instead of 60.
I think at 60 for only D3 wounds back, it wasn't huge. But suddenly when you're like 50 points to get back a wound or heal a model or something like that, well, I could do that.
So I realized that is now my new soul render. Because I realized that Because I realized that my Tidecaster wasn't really doing anything past turn 2. She was a Mystic Shield battery, and then
that was it. She was like, Mystic Shield. There's no one around me. I'm
all
alone.
right. I'm out of range of anything. I'm just gonna try and dance around this ship here for a bit. So I realized that Life Swarm, and after playing this list for like 6 months, I realized it'd be really nice to heal a few wounds here or there.
Yeah.
On like a shark or Volturnos or some eels, maybe, just to keep them going.
Especially given how many of those units have a decent save and a chunky amount of wounds, your opponent probably has to put a good bit of work into hurting them, and then when you're like, yo, surprise, I'm going to take a couple back off that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was reading the
Yeah.
Actually brings back models.
Yes, it does.
D3, like the death thing does. And I'm like, oh my god, this is a 50-point soul render that I can bring back thralls with in the hero phase when it's actually useful.
Well, the other thing that you can do with it that I had someone do against me, which was super sneaky, right, is so it's War Scroll, and I just pulled it up because I want to make it nice and clear. So the read on it is after it's set up or after it's moved, pick one unit within 1 inch of it. You can either heal D3 wounds that have been allocated to it, or if no wounds are allocated, you can return models to the unit, right? Which means that if you cast it and keep it inside of your own lines, outside of your opponent, like outside of range of touching your opponent, and then you win priority and choose to take it, it's not one that's then a threat to your own army. Because they can't heal themselves. The worst that they're going to do is move it towards their line. And you're like, sweet, the odds are I'm going to be within 1 inch of it unless you move it out into the middle of nowhere, which is just kind of a waste of your benefit. So yeah, I like it for that reason.
Yeah, and so that's it's a really cool model. So I'm going to paint it up like fish or something really colorful.
Just a big old school of fish that comes along and somehow knits together wounds.
Yeah. And it gets even better in the realm of life, where it's like D6 instead of D3. Yeah,
and all of a sudden that little bit of healing goes a very long way when it's pointed at like your sharks or your big characters.
So from playing it, I found that like against certain armies, usually my heroes get plinked off a few wounds here and there, and it's like I can't do anything about it. Like
you're like, well, but there we go.
But adding this in, I think, is gonna just give a little bit more like oomph to this army,
especially on those like little 5 wound heroes that are just standing there being like, they cop a couple of wounds and they basically spend the rest of the game just hoping that no one notices them. Like just they're basically like a bunch of underage kids at a nightclub trying to fit in but also be inconspicuous. That's a wounded 5 wound hero in Age of Sigmar is an underage person at a nightclub. They're just like, oh no, like I'm here, but I'm gonna try and not like. I remember with my Dispossessed not moving a unit, being like, it's got 1 wound left and it's gonna get fucked up. So I'm gonna basically be like, I'm just gonna try and keep you alive by drawing as little attention to you as opponent. So that's that, and I feel like suddenly Life Swarm gives them a little bit more. LLV
it's great
saying,
also if you lose priority, then you can just heal up.
And you're just like, bring it. LLV saying 10 Eternal Guard, decent. Yep, that's in there. Chewy A from Oz, mate, haven't spoken about Ironjaws yet. We're actually speaking about that next week. So Manila just asked, Alex, who has gone 4-1 with Iron Jaws, been on the top tables in the last round with his Iron Jaws, will be on next week talking about it. So we're going to be going through all of that next week. Life Swarm with Balewind is Elf Bro's call. Oh, Dr. Vulcan, thanks for the bits, mate. Looks a lovely evening for everyone, but thank you so much. I'll put them immediately to be honest, it's going towards equipment. At the moment, all of the bits and all the donations anyone throws our way is basically the Honest Wargamer upgrading our tech. Because the goal is we want to be able to do the best coverage, both sound, video, quality of table, quality of everything. So anyone who is a subscriber, anyone on Patreon, anyone who donates bits, anyone who does anything, no one's taken any money in their pocket. Just about everything is going into tech unless you specify, I want you to spend it on this, in which case, because the time when people were like, we want you to spend it on Fosters because they were fucks, that time it was spent on alcohol and not on tech. But thank you so much. Oh, mate. Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you, you beautiful human beings. So 500 bits on tech and 500 bits on beer. That's where we're at. So next week I will make sure that I have a premium level delicious beer going down my gullet, and that's all on you. Thank you, Dr. Vulcan. You gorgeous, gorgeous person of indescribable taste. And also a 9-month subscriber, which means that we've had a hobby baby, which is always special. No, it does. Dr. Vulcan, I would love for you to confirm for me that it doesn't have to be on a Foster's. Please tell me that it doesn't have to be, because that will...
You could buy 7 Fosters.
You could buy, in Australia, you could buy so many Fosters for that level. Fuck off, LLV. Stop telling him it has to be Fosters. No, yes, it doesn't have to be Fosters. Bless you, holiest amongst all subscribers. Oh God, it's morning in the UK. So Sergeant of Wolves is chiming in to discuss AoS thanks to insomnia, which is always a good place to be. So I guess, looking at the GHB, would you say that the Deepkin are winners coming out of the new GHB?
I definitely think they are.
Yeah.
I think it's opened up the way, hopefully, for some more interesting lists to come out of it.
Yeah.
The turtle dropping 30 points or whatever. Sure, it's people say that he's still not competitive enough points wise, but 350 is a solid for a behemoth that gives out free cover.
Effectively, yeah. I mean, look, outside of turn 1, useful. Dr. Vulcan off because you got to get up in 5 hours. Jesus Christ, go and get some sleep. Sorry, you're getting up in 5 hours to ride horses? Please tell me that you will play the song. You'll be riding on the horses. If you won't, just clip that and just play that over and over, and I can serenade you while you ride. But yeah, Godspeed, sleep well, and don't approach them from behind. I've played Red Dead Redemption 2, and I've been murdered by kicking horses about 4 times. So if that's anything like real life, never approach from behind. But you're seeing them as big winners. Ooh, Ben?
Still hello.
Yeah, there we go.
Hello.
Yep, we dropped for a moment. So you're seeing them as winners. Between for me as well, seeing a list, an army book with just about sweeping reductions except for one area. It reads that hopefully we'll see some cool stuff. Yeah,
the Soul Scroll going up was a needed thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think her going up 30 points just had to happen.
Yep.
But it should open the list up for way more interesting builds, more Namadi cores maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully we see more sharks in the lists.
Well, I think it's a bit like KO, right? And I guess it's funny that you play both KO and Deepkin, in that they are both armies that released with these big, impressive, amazing models in the KO Skyboats and then the Deepkin in the Turtles and the Sharks. But largely, the competitive play was the smaller, more innocuous units. Like eels are cool. I'm not saying that they don't look cool, but those were the units that people lent on. Whereas,
Exactly, yeah.
and it's the same. Like you see tons
and
of
I've seen that now. You see way more balanced, more varied lists and KO lists now than you did like when they first came out.
And we see some interesting stuff doing well. I mean, yes, the clown car, God, like I'm so sicky. I really liked KO. I had a KO army. I was a part of the Kharadron Overlords chat and stuff, and I ended up leaving the chat not because you're not wonderful people, but because I just got sick of seeing the same conversations about clown car over and over. And so I'm kind of excited to see something new coming out of them, which I really think we will. It's the same with Deepkin. We'll be seeing a little bit of stuff. WSD Gorelord in the chat. G'day, mate. Wonder fancy seeing you here on your evening or morning or afternoon, wherever the fuck you are, however you're doing. I'm chatting to the wonderful Ben. Ben's a beautiful Deepkin player who rocks a fuck ton of sharks, just for those who have joined us late. And Ben, what do you have to say for yourself when it comes to the fact that you do have eels in your list?
I feel bad now. Like
no, I was just trying to create drama, but genuinely, like you've got the chill list.
So they're an important part of an army.
Yes,
definitely an important part of an army, but like you don't need them in the quantities that you see.
No.
It's just
no, it's exactly like when you saw like clown car lists that were just full of thunderers packing ether cannons and one fucking Urbaz dude to just double buff them and make them shoot a bajillion times. And also,
but like
the shield guard are, I think, far more versatile than the combat guard.
the Ishley are way better than Mossar.
But I also would say, and I feel like I might get in trouble for saying this, but fuck it, we'll do it anyway. I would say that it's a bit like Flesh Eater Courts in that the Morsar Guard are very obvious in doing what they do well. Whereas the Ashalan Guard require a little bit more clever play and a little bit more clever use to get their points out of them, to get their worth out of them. I think Flesh Eater Courts are much the same. You have a lot of people who can pick up that book, read it for 5 fucking minutes and be like, this is the list. Gristlegore, Blister Skin, fucking, what are they called? Feast Day. Like, these are the ones. Done. You can pick it up in a heartbeat. Skaven is probably in between, requires a little bit of looking to work it out, and the Morsar Guard are much like Flesh Eater Courts. So easy to be like, you fuck up anything that looks at you sideways, and it's real easy for me to make sure that you get in turn 1 and just keep the ball rolling of hate.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like, if anything survives that Morsar charge, those Morsar are going to get hit back really badly.
Yeah, and they'll be like, please stop doing this. Which is where I think like we've seen Deepkin do well. And much as you said that you had a relatively easy run at the Sydney Slaughter, the games that you're talking about, so you went up against Nurgle, who arguably don't necessarily do well, but against someone who keeps podiuming in Australia. Legion of Sacrament, Legions of Nagash, the Mixed Destruction, which they're maybe not top tier. We don't see a lot out of them. And then, sorry, I've forgotten the 5th one again. Which did I miss there?
Slaves to Darkness.
Slaves to Darkness. So there are a couple that, maybe slide in a little bit on the easier side of things. But arguably, like, you hit big winners towards the end there. At the start there, and then had to work back as well after the Legions of Nagash. So I don't think you had a necessarily easy run by any stretch of the imagination.
I just managed to dodge all the Flesh Eater Courts, all the Daughters of Cain, and all the Slaanesh.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anyone would struggle against Flesh Eater Courts unless they're packing a decent amount of screens or shooting.
I was dreading against that, but
Daughters of Cain, I reckon this list would have the skinny on. And the same way but yeah, it'd be okay. It'd be interesting. Gorelord's saying that he's been writing mixed ogre lists. And Mournfang at 140, you suddenly start to see a lot of thread out of them, which is cool. Iron Ape 87, The wife is interested in a flesh eater quartz. What's an easy list for her? Gristlegore. Yeah. In fact, Gorelords answered in the chat. Gristlegore. You can just basically have an entire list of gigantic flying terrorgeists and dragons that get to
3-star collecting boxes.
Yeah, you buy 3-star collecting boxes. Your army's done. Now, people will think poorly of you for it, and to be honest, flesh eater quartz have a wonderful amount, a wonderful variety of lore and character. So I would say do that. Buy 3-star collecting boxes, build a flesh eater quartz army, but build your flesh eater quartz army, not the same flesh eater quartz army that you see every single time, because their imagery is spectacular, their background is spectacular, everything is amazing about them. There are just basically Gristlegore and Blister Skin, and to a lesser extent, Grand Quarter Delusion Feast Day. Those.
So what I do want to see, at a flesh eater quartz, is someone to get old Bretonians.
Oh, yes.
And just run them as the Bretonian models, and then just like, it's the flesh eater quartz army, and they're like, no, it's not, it's Bretonian.
You're like, this is what flesh eater quartz are now.
Are you delusional? Like, clearly flesh eater quartz models.
And you're standing there being like, no, these are cool, like, or the other way around. You're like, okay, my knights are going to charge there. And then we're like, you're what? Like, my knights are charging there. And someone's just like, those aren't knights. Those are crypt flayers. You're like, no.
What are you talking about?
These are my Pegasus knights. They're charging here.
These are my Grail knights.
Yeah, my Empire General on Griffin, or my Bretonian General on Hippogriff is charging
my
there.
Louis Coeur.
Yeah, King Louis Coeur.
He gets to pile in twice, and then he gets to hit back when he gets killed.
Okay, now his Hippogriff's beak is going to attack you. Don't you mean the Gaping Maw? What fucking Gaping Maw? It is a beak, you... How very dare you, sir? But yeah, Gammy, has a reasonable amount of Bretts. And yes, he does admit he's thought about it, but he doesn't hate himself that much to convert them all.
You don't have to convert them. You just run them as peasants.
That's true, and then just never break eye contact.
Just paint, exactly. Just paint them beautiful colors.
Yeah, but then again, Gammy, can I ask you a question in the chat? You thinking about busting out your Wanderers post GHB 2019? Because Gammy was an absolute king of the Wanderers back in the day, so I feel like he could do it again. Or in the chat, Jazzfest just dropped a link, which I feel like everyone should go and check out, of what seems to be a Stormcast mashup with the 40k Custodes. Looks sexy as fuck. That's gorgeous. Looks excellent, man. That's wicked. Also, 15-month subscriber. We're working on a second hobby, baby, and it's going to go to a beautiful place. Gammy confirming, yes, he is going to look at the Wanderers now. He has fallen into the rabbit hole. He had a beautifully painted Wanderers army that he did quite well with in Old Warhammer Fantasy. Played it quite a bit in Age of Sigmar as well, unless I missed my guess. But has lent it aside for the Bone Splitters for the last little while. So I'm excited to see that come back out. Actually, maybe we should have a chat. But, yeah.
Wanderers, I think they got some really good stuff too.
I think they've been out in the cold for a while, but they've started to get a bit more love, which will be cool. With that, of course, Gammy pointing out he's going to use eels as allies as well. Have you considered sharks, Ben? Sell him on sharks. Go.
They're cool models. You can do some cool things with them. They hit like trucks. They take They take a hit like a truck.
They can handle a hit.
They can handle a hit. Yeah, they're just cool. They're less models to paint, less expensive. You can paint them all cool things. You can sing Baby Shark.
You can sing Baby Shark. You can give your opponent a model of Tara Reid to feature in the Sharknado cross promotion.
You can bring joy to your opponent by them never seeing sharks before and be like, there you go, now you can see the models.
Joy, you're bringing joy and then fucking them up with it as well.
You're doing a personal service. To
you are. So I hope, Gammy, that has been enough to sell you on sharks over eels. Actually, Ben, I have a photo that I will send to you When I was at Wet Coast GT, I saw someone's shark and they'd converted and green stuffed it into a hammerhead.
Yes.
Which was just awesome. I was like, I need to send Ben a photo of that because that looks amazing.
That sounds amazing.
But yeah, it was a really, really cool. So all up, I guess, looking at the GHB, looking at your experience of them prior, so we were talking about this with the Overlords before. How do you feel about them going forward? Did the GHB 2019 excite you more to play them, or did it kind of go are you planning on settling for a little bit, trying something else? Where is your hobby butterfly telling you to go right now?
So I was having a bit of a drop off on the Deepkin. Just because I painted them furiously for CanCon and all this freehand and stuff, and I just got a bit burnt out on them. So I changed to Spiderfang just for a bit of a change.
Spiderfang Grots.
Just pure Spiderfang in pure Gloom Spite, but Spiderfang. Which was fun. But now I'm well back on the Deepkin train. Now that things have changed and I can actually mess around with the list a little bit more. Looking forward to painting up some of those endless spells that I've actually got now.
Yep, and now that with the points balance on endless spells, you're like, yeah, I get to actually do this now. I can use them.
Yeah. Meeting engagements I think is going to be really fun to bring out some models that I haven't really used. Like the turtle, the soul render.
Do you have a turtle waiting in the wings?
I do, yeah. He's built. He just needs to be painted.
Because the only turtle that I've ever seen is Liam's converted turtle that is a Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood. I've never seen a legit turtle run in the game.
Yeah, no, I've seen a few. They're very pretty. They're very cool models. But yeah, no, I'm doing mine very carefully, and it's gonna have I've got this picture that I've got of a rainbow turtle kind of thing. It must just be the photo or the saturation or whatever, but it's got these beautiful rainbow fringes around its dark red shell, and I'm just I've got to do that.
Okay. Well, that'd be kind of cool as well, especially I guess with that coming in. Would you use contrast on that? Use that as an opportunity to work through it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Most of it will be done by just layering.
Yeah, I guess the one thing you don't want to do is if you've done the rest of the army in that style.
I've already done it.
Something else. Yeah,
I'm now trapped in this city. I can't do very much. But yeah, no, definitely allies for sure is going to be exciting.
Yeah,
we have points to play with now. May just chuck in a Charybdis.
Fuck, really? I guess they got.
I don't know.
They came into a nicer place, didn't they? The Charybdis.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I've had one built and undercoated on my shelf, sitting there for the last 2.5 years.
Okay, yeah, right. So you're just look. Every time you look at it, you're like, I should do something with that.
Maybe I should.
Maybe I should stop ignoring that one just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. All right. Okay. So look. We've spoken KO, we've spoken General's Handbook, we've spoken Contrast, we've spoken Deepkin, we've spoken a lot of things, and it is now time to wrap things up and say goodbye. However, it wouldn't be the drunken Australian version of this show if we didn't end on a ridiculous question. And this also goes open to the chat as well, and to you, Ben. And for anyone who is listening back or at the time, I would always ask you to forgive my guests, because they don't get prepped about this. They don't know what they're about to be asked. I just basically have a ridiculous question that I want to ask them about the Mortal Realms and about Age of Sigmar. And this is yours, Ben. Are you ready to receive your ridiculous final flurry question?
Oh, no, but let's do it.
Okay, great, good. That's pretty much the response that everyone gives. So this is to you, Ben, and you, everybody in the chat. If you were to pick one single model or unit in all of Age of Sigmar, all of the Mortal Realms, to have a pop music career, which would it be, why, and what style of music do you think they would play? So I'll say that again so that for everyone who is listening. So if you had to pick one model or unit, so it could be a hero, it could be a unit, it could be a single, for whatever fucking reason you decide. Pick one unit and they have a pop music career. So they become gigantic in their whatever thing for whatever goddamn reason. Which would it be?
Oh, yeah.
And why? Okay, you've got it. You're in?
I've got it.
You're in?
Yep.
Okay, go. What is it and why?
I've got a unit of 40 Corsairs.
40 Corsairs? Okay.
We were in a K-pop band.
The K-pop Corsairs.
Yep, the Corsairs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right.
K-pop. Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
They all have their parts.
Okay. I want to give you a second because I'm gonna throw to the chat for a second. I want you to give me a name. Okay. I want you to come up with a name. I'm gonna throw to the chat. So Jill, Horticulus Slimix singing folk. Yes, that'd be like some kind of weird. I'm assuming he's doing like an early Taylor Swift kind of stuff, or maybe some Keith Urban. Vanilla Sass Alex saying Gordrak, power ballads in the style of Bon Jovi. Budtastic Guy, the old war dancers as an 80s tribute band. Yes, hair metal everywhere. Elf Bro Hayden, Lady Oleana, Screamo, and death metal. Yes, I could see her doing that with like the veil down and lifting the veil just up to her mouth and then screaming into the mic. Mark Time. Bloodrack Medusa.
That sounds amazing, actually.
Yeah, I'd go to that concert. Bloodrack Medusa because that's what Katy Perry looks like on the inside. Oh shit! Yes, savage as fuck. Gammy the Man-Eaters, cover of 90s music and impersonations all around. Yes, but I would also like if the Man-Eaters all dressed in drag as well. That would be like a 90s cover band of large ogres in drag. That would be the one. Dad Hammer would choose the Waywatcher and raps about life alone in the forests, like all deep, dark, moody. Like I'm assuming like Eminem when he goes into like his kind of internal kind of shit. His name is Dark Sword, but the sword is spelled with a $sign. Yes. Yes, because it's a rapper's name. Gorelord commenting Gutbusters or Beastclaw doing Viking metal. Yes, yes, all about that. Sorry, did you have a name for your band, Ben?
Oh yeah, I've got one. But first I've got two other options.
Okay, throw me some other options.
So I've got Volturnos, and he's just singing the tides are a changing. He just does Bob Dylan.
Sorry, I was taking a drink. That's so perfect. The Volturnos singing the tides are changing. Yep, good.
Yep, Bob Dylan. And then we've got Shalaxi Hellbane singing early Britney Spears.
Yep. Okay. Early Britney Spears. Oh wow. Yeah, Hellbane. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, but my name for my K-pop band.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. It's very Korean.
Yeah. Go with it.
It's 240 for 40.
240 for 40. Perfect. That's and also inspired by the game that they were derived from, which is just perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Dad Hammer commenting that the Man-Eaters would be like men at work. Where are we? What else? Alex saying Gloomspite, Necrogoblin. It's an actual band. Necrogoblin. Okay. Wow. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
Okay. That sounds. I've never heard of them before.
Yeah. A couple of links people to check out if they like. A couple of music. Great. Elf Bro saying a great unclean one singing "Toxic" on repeat by Britney Spears. Good. Yes. Beastclaw Gutbusters have a band. Mongolian metal. Okay.
Ooh, yeah, that's actually some really sick stuff.
Yeah, I dig that.
But we've got any Keeper of Secrets singing "My Neck, My Back."
No, I don't want to think about that. It is a large hoofed, like, bull demon thing. We should not be licking any part of that, let alone necks, backs, other places or cracks. Like, we don't want to do that.
That's what they're singing on repeat. Like.
Yep. Yeah, true. That's how they make people attack last. They're just like, I don't want to do that.
This is a really catchy song. Wow.
Yeah. The song's great. The visuals I'm getting while you sing it, not quite as great. Oh, you know what? Sorry, we've missed it. We've missed it. There's two perfect ones. I don't know which to go with. Vanilla Sass, Alex, and Budtastic Guy both saying Thunderstruck. Vanilla Sass suggesting Stormcast singing it. Budtastic singing Dragon Ogres singing it. Elf Bro coming in with a good one as well. The Village Free People also would be great. See, I would actually just really love to see one of each of the, or like, you know, like all of the wizards, the battle wizards from Collegiate Arcane. I'd love to see one of each of them in like a boy band, just singing boy band hits with like synchronized dance moves. But every time they do something, like a flash of color comes out of their hand corresponding to their robes. So I feel like they'd be super fancy.
You got the pyrotechnics from the Fire Wizard.
That's it. You got the pyrotechnics. You've got lighting between the Shadow and the Light Mage. Like you've got all of the different things covered. They would be mine, and they'd be some kind of weird ones.
You've got Brock. Brock singing "I'm on a Boat."
Just him floating alongside, holding it, just moving shots of him crossing the whole time. Yep, Brock Gunnarsson would be a wonderful. Wonderful one. Gorlord commenting that they'd just be the Jonas Brothers, which is probably fair. Dad Hammer, the Witch Hunters and Collectors. Oh, yes, these puns are giving me life. Look, we do have to wrap it up, as much as I would love to just sit here and come up with ridiculous band names. Oh
my God, one more.
Go. Finish yourself, Ben. Finish us off.
Khalida singing "Walk Like an Egyptian."
Oh, there it is. Yes, Khalida singing it. Because obviously she'd be singing it, not Cetra. Cetra would be her producer in the background somewhere there. But we do have to wrap it up. It is the end of the evening. Thank you so much, beautiful. I'd love to stay with you guys all night, but unfortunately we can't just keep going. I've done that a couple of times. But that's what we're here for. We always have to end on something fucking ridiculous, otherwise it wouldn't be this show. If you do have any others that you come up with, please tweet me, twat me at Twitter, and we'll get them onto the next show. Gorlord commenting just the last one in there. Cetra is P. Diddy. Yes, indeed, Cetra is P. Diddy. Like suggestive crimes and all. But we do have to wrap it up. Ben, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, where you are this evening for all of us over here, to talk about Deepkin outside of Eels.
Let's talk about the rest of the book.
Oh, yeah, all right. Let's talk about something other than the exact same thing that everybody uses every single time. We had a couple of brand new pieces of art for those who've joined us in later. In the Said Nudes segment, we had a new dwarf, which was rated 5 discrete penises out of 5 by Ben. And then the Purple Sun Rodeo, these were sent in by Henry, which was 3 discrete penises out of 5 for that one, which was wonderful to have. We've spoken about so many things. Yes, Gorlord, there are. In fact, if you missed the start of the show, go back and listen, because as Ben has taught us, there is so much more than just eels. There are scarier, toothier things in that book. Thank you so much, Ben.
No worries, my pleasure. Thanks, Dan.
No, mate. Oh, look, it's been a pleasure for me too. Beautiful people, you can find us in like all the social media pipes and shit like that. And have a fantastic and a wonderful evening or rest of your day or whatnot. But cheers. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
See you later.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.